In this tutorial, we're going to talk about live feed mode and learning the environment. So first thing, we're going to open up the ZuzorApp, and we've got the default experience when you first download it. So this is in simulation mode. You can see that right up there. And you can see the simulation of the person walking left to right. So now if we open up our iSetup page, we can actually change that. So clicking on that button, we launched iSetup page, and you can see right there under the eyes focus, you've got what is saying you're using the following eye and its simulation. We're going to go ahead and open it and switch it down to Orbec. So we're just going to scroll down, choose Orbec, because that's a camera I have connected to the computer. And from there, we're going to click Save and Apply. We're going to click Go to Journey, and we're here back at the journey assigned to this installation. And we're going to push that journey to propagate the changes to the ZuzorApp. And now you see propagating changes, and if we jump back, you can see that download started. We'll give it a sec to download the updates, and now that it did, and now that you've changed drivers and changed sensors, it's actually restarting the app. There you go. So now it received the update and restarted the app with live feed mode, and you can see me waving there. And we're going to resize the content window so you can see it a little clearer. You can clearly see that now it's going off of the live feed. Right there on the bottom right, you can see the input, and this is actually what it looks like connected to the computer. So we just have the Orbec directly connected to the USB port. And now let's tinker with it just so you're comfortable. You can see the scale size. You can actually increase the size or decrease the size of the dynamic content and what's being generated from that live input. Yep, so now we're back to full size. And now let's actually change the experience a little bit to make it a little easier to read. So let's jump to that experience, and we're gonna change the silhouette reflection. So when you saw it, it was actually had a full circle behind the person. Let's go ahead and turn that off and just have the contour and not the circular silhouette. It'll just make it a little easier for us to see exactly what's going on. So we're just gonna toggle that off, and then we're gonna click Save Effect. And now we need to push the changes one more time. So going back to the journey, we're gonna propagate the changes, and going to the app, you're gonna see it's gonna receive the message in just a sec, and that circular silhouette around is actually gonna go away, and we're back to the default iSetup settings. So let's go ahead and make the screen a little larger one more time. So we're changing the content windows width and height, and we're back. And now you see there's no more circular silhouette, just the normal contour. So now let's see what happens if we take a little further back. So we're in this room with the corner behind us. So if we stretch it all the way back, it's going to see all the way to the corner. And now if we cut it a little bit forward, we see that we have it cut a little bit before the corner. So we get this kind of V. But as we walk across, the issue is that we are kind of blending into the walls, and we also can't go all the way back into the corner. So now what we have here is we actually have a learn background capability. So that means we're going to activate a little AI that will learn the scene and then learn that there are walls there and actually ignore them. So once we click learn background, it takes around 15 seconds, and now you can see it learned the space and it's washing out that wall. And when we walk back in, we can now go all the way wall to wall, and we're completely clean, and it knows exactly where the live input starts and when there's a wall that it just learned. Now the issue is it doesn't go all the way back. So if I go to the corner, I actually disappear, you see? So when you're in the corner and it's past the depth threshold, you again disappear, so you can kind of go in and out of the depth range. Now most of the time you're not going to necessarily want to cut off the depth range quite like that. You'll typically want it to go all the way out. So we're going to change the clipping range one more time just to undo it. And there, now you see we extended it all the way to get to the corner, and now you can barely tell what's me moving versus the wall. So again, we're going to click learn background, and this time it's learning all the way to the walls and the corner, learning the entire environment. We'll give it a few seconds to finish, and you'll know it's done when it actually fades out. And there we go. Now it actually learned the entire space. So wherever I walk, I can be all the way in the corner and you can see it's seeing me clearly. There's nothing obstructing, and I can actually go with my back to the wall, back to the corner, and I'm always inside of the experience and always captured. Okay, so that should work for most of your scenarios where you're in a space that's empty. But now let's do something a little more intricate. So what if there's a chair, for example? Okay, so we're gonna put a chair in that corner, and we're gonna turn the camera a little bit down, so it's actually seeing the chair. Okay, and now there's a chair in the frame, you can sort of see the edge. And now let's start the learning process one more time. So this chair is again gonna be recognized and learned by Zuzor after you click that learn background. Again, we'll give it a few seconds to finish up. It usually takes about 15 seconds. And when it's done, it'll learn to ignore it, right? So now the chair, you can see it's washed out and ignored. But if you go back in the room, for example, here when I go, I can actually sit in the chair and I can be completely seen, very clean, no problem at all. Actually makes setup very smooth and easy for you. Okay, so you can see me sitting down. I'm walking in front of the chair and it's very clear. I'm sitting on the chair, you can still see. Now the issue is, what if you're walking behind the chair? For example, here you can see that it learned the chair, but my legs behind the chair are actually obscured, so the camera can't see them. So anything behind furniture that is learned will basically be hidden, but anything in front of the furniture is going to be captured neatly, and literally you can touch the furniture and anything above that learned environment will be captured. There you go. Now you know how to switch to live feed mode and how to learn the background and set up Zuzor. Congrats.